The excitement around the New York Yankees is starting to build as the new season approaches. And one of the most intriguing storylines right now revolves around Luis Gil. Over the past few days, there have been encouraging signs coming out of his recent sessions on the mound. Reports from the field indicate that his fastball velocity is already climbing, reaching around 97 miles per hour at its peak, while sitting comfortably in the mid-90 range. For a pitcher who has been working his way back into full rhythm, that kind of velocity this early is exactly what the Yankees want to see. With opening day approaching quickly, the expectation inside the organization is that Gil will continue to ramp things up little by little. The Yankees know very well how important it is to have him performing at his best, especially given how the rotation is shaping up in the early part of the year. The reality is that the previous season did not go the way Gil or the Yankees had hoped. Injuries limited him significantly, and as a result, he only appeared in 11 games throughout the entire campaign. When you look at the surface numbers, some aspects were still respectable. His earned run average stayed in a solid range, which on paper suggests he managed to compete whenever he was on the mound. However, when you dig deeper into the details, you start to see the challenges he faced. Over 57 innings pitched, he recorded 41 strikeouts, which was a noticeable drop compared to what fans saw earlier in his career. The swing and miss ability that made him so electric during his breakout season simply was not as consistent. On top of that, control issues continued to create problems, with more than 30 walks during that limited stretch. When a pitcher allows that many free passes, it becomes extremely difficult to dominate games the way the Yankees know Gil is capable of doing. That is why so many people around the team continue to point back to the version of Luis Gil that appeared during his remarkable rookie campaign. That season showed exactly why the organization believed so strongly in his potential. Over nearly 30 starts, he proved he could handle the workload of a starting pitcher in the major leagues. He logged well over 150 innings while striking out more than 170 hitters, demonstrating the type of overpowering stuff that made opposing lineups uncomfortable every time they stepped into the batter's box. Even though he still struggled with command at times, the overall effectiveness was undeniable. His ability to generate strikeouts and limit damage allowed him to maintain impressive numbers across the board. That performance earned him the recognition of being one of the most exciting young pitchers in the league and reinforced the belief that the Yankees had found a cornerstone arm for their rotation. Because of that history, the organization is being extremely careful about how they use him moving forward. There has been occasional discussion about whether Gil could eventually shift into a bullpen role, but many people inside the baseball world strongly disagree with that idea. His skill set, when everything is working properly, is much better suited for starting games. Gil thrives when he has time to establish his rhythm, build his pitch mix, and gradually take control of a lineup over several innings. Placing him in short relief situations could actually magnify the very issues he is trying to correct, particularly his command. When a pitcher already struggles with control, the high-pressure environment of late-inning relief can make things even more unpredictable. For the Yankees, the goal is not to turn Gil into a situational arm. The goal is to get him back to being a reliable starter who can give the team meaningful innings every 5 days. That opportunity may arrive sooner than expected because the Yankees' rotation will look very different during the opening weeks of the season. Two of the biggest names in the pitching staff are expected to miss the beginning of the year while they continue recovering and building strength. That means the team will have to rely heavily on the depth they have developed over the past few seasons. Max Fried is widely expected to take the ball on opening day, which makes perfect sense considering how well he performed last year. Behind him, several younger arms are likely to receive significant opportunities, including Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, and Luis Gil himself. There are also other names fighting for those remaining spots, creating a competitive environment where every start will matter. For Gil, this situation represents a massive moment in his career. When established veterans are unavailable, younger pitchers suddenly find themselves under the spotlight. The Yankees are going to need quality innings, and whoever performs well early could secure a much more permanent role once the roster is fully healthy again. That kind of competition can either create pressure or bring out the best in a player. If Gill can stay healthy and rediscover the sharpness that defined his earlier success, he has the talent to make a strong statement. His fastball alone can change the momentum of a game, and when it is paired with his secondary pitches effectively, hitters often struggle to keep up. Another fascinating element in this whole situation is the emergence of additional pitching depth within the organization. There are several young arms who possess impressive raw stuff and are eager to prove themselves at the highest level. Ryan Weathers, for example, has drawn attention because of the sheer power behind his pitches. When you watch him throw, it becomes clear that the potential is enormous. The challenge, much like with Gill, lies in refining command and maintaining consistency. If he manages to put everything together, the Yankees could suddenly find themselves with a surplus of talented starters. That would be a luxury scenario for any team hoping to make a deep run later in the year. All of this creates an incredibly competitive atmosphere within the clubhouse as pitchers battle not only for roster spots, but also for long-term roles in the rotation. Every inning matters during this stage of the season, and every performance is carefully evaluated by the coaching staff. For Luis Gill, the message is simple but powerful. Stay healthy, throw strikes, and trust the talent that once made him one of the most exciting young pitchers in the game. The tools are still there, and the flashes seen during his recent outing suggest that the version of Gill fans remember might be closer to returning than many people realize. As the countdown to opening day continues, the Yankees will be watching closely to see whether this talented right-hander can seize the opportunity placed directly in front of him. Across more than 30 starts, Fried demonstrated the type of durability that every contender hopes to have in a frontline starter. He logged nearly 200 innings while maintaining an earned run average that placed him among the most effective pitchers in the league. On top of that, he recorded close to 200 strikeouts, proving that he can overpower hitters when necessary, while still maintaining excellent control. His numbers reflected not only consistency, but also a level of maturity that helped stabilize the entire rotation during moments when the team needed it most. For a franchise with championship ambitions, having a pitcher who could be trusted in high-pressure situations is incredibly valuable, and Fried has repeatedly shown that he thrives in those moments. While the regular season performance was impressive, there were still moments in the postseason where things did not go exactly as planned. October baseball has a way of exposing even the most talented players, and Fried experienced some of those challenges firsthand. That being said, it would be unfair to overlook the larger picture of what he accomplished throughout the year. The Yankees relied heavily on his presence, and more often than not he delivered exactly what they needed. As the new season approaches, the expectation is that he will once again serve as the anchor of the rotation until the rest of the pitching staff returns to full strength. Eventually, the Yankees hope to welcome back some of their biggest arms, including Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. Their return could completely reshape the dynamic of the pitching staff. Cole remains one of the most dominant pitchers in the game when healthy, and his presence instantly elevates the ceiling of the entire rotation. Rodon also showed strong flashes during the previous season, reminding everyone why the organization invested so much confidence in him. When those two pitchers rejoin the group, the Yankees could suddenly find themselves with one of the deepest rotations in the league. That possibility is one of the main reasons why the early part of the season will be so fascinating to watch. Depth has quietly become one of the Yankees' greatest strengths when it comes to pitching. Several young arms within the system are pushing hard for opportunities, and it would not be surprising to see new faces emerge as the season unfolds. Players like Will Warren and Cam Schlittler have already demonstrated that they are capable of stepping onto a major league mound and competing. Behind them, the organization continues to develop additional prospects who could eventually make an impact. When a team has that many potential contributors waiting for their chance, internal competition naturally raises the overall level of performance. Of course, pitching alone will not determine how far the Yankees can go. The lineup must also deliver when it matters most, especially during the postseason where every run becomes crucial. Last year, there were moments when the offense struggled to produce consistently in big situations, something that cannot happen again if the team wants to make a serious championship run. Aaron Judge once again carried a significant portion of the offensive load, proving why he remains one of the most feared hitters in baseball. However, even a superstar like Judge needs support from the rest of the lineup. When the bats go quiet at the wrong time, even the strongest pitching staff can find itself under pressure. Another storyline that continues to spark conversation among fans involves the ongoing discussion surrounding Juan Soto. Even though he is now playing elsewhere, his departure from the Yankees still generates reactions whenever his name surfaces in baseball conversations. During a recent interview, Aaron Boone responded to a question about Soto in a lighthearted way, making a quick comment that seemed more like a joke than a serious statement. Still, the moment caught attention because of how quickly it was delivered. It reminded many fans that Soto's brief time with the Yankees left a lasting impression, particularly because of the impact his bat had on the lineup during that period. Despite that lingering curiosity, the Yankees have clearly moved forward with their current roster. The focus now is entirely on the players who are preparing to take the field this season and prove that they can deliver when the pressure rises. Baseball has a way of constantly shifting narratives, and what mattered a year ago often fades as new opportunities appear. For the Yankees, the objective remains simple but demanding. Build a roster capable of competing deep into October and finally capture another championship. International competition has also been drawing attention lately, especially with the excitement surrounding the World Baseball Classic. The tournament always brings a different kind of energy to the sport because players represent their countries rather than their professional teams. Fans love seeing superstars from across the league come together on the same roster, creating lineups that rarely exist during the regular season. Team United States, for example, entered the tournament with enormous expectations thanks to the incredible talent assembled throughout the lineup. However, even with a roster full of elite players, international tournaments can be unpredictable. A single game or even a single inning can completely change the outcome, which makes every decision from the coaching staff incredibly important. Managing pitching rotations, bullpen usage, and late-game strategies becomes a delicate balance. In some situations, questionable decisions can lead to frustration among fans who expect a powerhouse roster to dominate every matchup. That unpredictability is part of what makes the tournament both thrilling and nerve-wracking for supporters watching around the world. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. A quiet sense of concern may be beginning to circulate around the clubhouse of the Boston Red Sox, and the source of that unease could be forming just a few hours down the highway in the Bronx. While spring exhibitions are typically treated as little more than a warm-up for the long season ahead, whispers around the league suggest that what unfolded recently during a tune-up tied to the World Baseball Classic might have delivered an early warning to the rest of Major League Baseball. At the center of the conversation is a name that until recently was mentioned mostly among scouts and dedicated prospect watchers, Elmer Rodriguez. Yet after a striking display on the mound in a high-profile exhibition environment, Rodriguez suddenly looks like a player capable of shifting expectations, especially for the New York Yankees. Those who observed the performance closely described a pitcher who appeared unusually composed for the stage, mixing velocity with command and showing the type of poise that suggests something bigger may be developing. Even in a setting that technically carries no official weight, the dominance reportedly turned heads across front offices and scouting departments. And in baseball circles, perception can change very quickly when a young arm flashes that kind of potential. For Boston, the storyline naturally invites speculation. The rivalry between the Red Sox and Yankees rarely needs additional fuel, but the idea that New York might be quietly adding another dangerous weapon to its pitching depth could complicate matters in the months ahead. Executives and analysts often stress that exhibition performances should not be overinterpreted, yet history also shows that breakout moments sometimes begin exactly this way, far from the pressure of the regular season. League insiders have already begun to debate whether Rodriguez's showing represents a brief surge of form or a preview of what could be waiting in the Yankee system. If the latter proves true, Boston and the rest of the American League may soon find themselves preparing for a pitcher who is no longer flying under the radar. For now, nothing is official and no conclusions can be drawn from a single outing. Still, rumors have a way of spreading quickly in baseball, and the buzz surrounding Rodriguez is growing louder. If the whispers are even partially accurate, the Red Sox might already have a new reason to keep a close eye on what's brewing in New York. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.